Hello, everyone. I hope I'm audible to all of you. Thank you for watching us live on LinkedIn, maybe on other social media platform. This is Kailash Upadhyay and P3M with Kailash Upadhyay, where we talk about different topics from project, program, and portfolio management. And today we have very interesting topic here with us, whether master degree or mastering any specific skills is a very very important topic today we're going to talk about. And a lot of people have asked me this question. Lot of my personal mentees, lot of people send me the messages whether these working professional, whether they should do any management, full-time management degree, some master degree, or there are some skills which they can master. So these are the things which people definitely ask. And and today I thought, rather than I talk about, of course, I have my own experiences. Of course, I have my own some learnings and some thoughts about this topic. Whether what is good for professionals like yourself and so on. But I wanted to invite somebody who is expert in this, who is always taken learning very seriously, and who has always told me that she is a lifelong learner, and I have been always impressed by the energy. I have been always impressed by so much of work my guest is doing in terms of education, in terms of learning and development, in terms of mastering different skills. So many things are happening with around my guest. I think that she's the best person to talk about this subject and share experiences. So without being further delayed, I would like to introduce my guest today, Josephine Turner, and which we call her Arjo. So Arjo, I don't know whether you don't mind. I hope you don't mind calling me Arjo, but this is really
Yes, I prefer that.
thank you,
Well,
Arjo.
thank you so much, Mentor Kailash. Maraming salamat. I'm originally from the Philippines. My name is, yes, as he said, it's Josephine in LinkedIn because it's the official name. I can't get away with that. But if you would ask me, I would prefer you to call me with my nickname, Arjo Turner. And that is more my kind of like public name. It's an honor to really be invited by you. I haven't seen you in person yet, but I'm very hopeful that in one way or another in this lifetime, I'll be able to meet you as I consider you my mentor and having passed two global professional exams under your mentorship. So I'm honored as your mentor, as a mentor that you invited me to be on board with your podcast. I just listened to it. I was actually curious before how it is to be on your podcast. And now here we are, insights on this very important topic about either mastering like a degree and or mastering skills. It's going to be very exciting.
Thank you, Arjo. Once again, a very warmest welcome to you. You have been the perfect guest for this topic. I couldn't find anybody better than you, at least. So let's get start with this topic now. So, Arjo, my first question to you, because this is there's so many people around the working prof. It's not just the people who are just finishing their degree or who are just stepping into the professional journey, but there are so many professionals around the world who has even 20 years of experience, who have 15 years of experience. So one question which they always ask is, what should I do now? Should I invest into some full-time degree, or should I just, do some skills-based courses which can I then use in my professional world? So my first question to you is, let's first start with what is this fundamental difference between the management degree and the certification courses? Would you like to share your thought about for this global audience here, Arjo?
Yes, sure. That is a very great opening question, Mentor Kailash. So when you think about management degree,
Yeah.
you always associate it as either being in college and or university. This varies in whatever where is the focus. There are schools that are specializing in business management. There are also schools that offers courses on business management,
Okay.
except especially MBA, Master of Business Administration, right? So it can really provide a comprehensive overview on the theoretical concepts as well as the practical approach to business management, wherein students in academic setting are having a full overview of their course that they can finish from what term of the semester until what term. And it can be very, very rigorous because you have to adhere to the academic standards, especially you have to adhere to the passing exams and all of these curriculum requirements that they have that you have to comply in order to finish that particular degree. Because see, it is a degree from a college and or a university. So you can learn a lot from strategy, finance, marketing, organizational behavior, leadership, all in one, and mostly like in broad aspect depending on your specialization. So business management is even broad. So if you're gonna specialize on what type of business management is that, corporate and or nonprofit and or in the government side, these are even broken down into so many subdomains in this business management work. Certifications to me is more interesting because while MBA programs, business management programs are embedded in the educational sector, there is, I think, a less knowledge about the value of professional certification bodies. I just came to know, for example, Project Management Institute. I just came to know PMI when I'm already here in the USA. I never heard PMI when I was working in the government in the Philippines as a program manager under the office of the governor in one of the local governments there, Sarangani province particularly. And then that gaining the professional certifications and credentials, I came to value it more here in the USA because when I was trying to look for a job, most of the jobs in program and or project management requires professional credential and professional credentials that are not really like offered by the university or college. They can provide the training accredited by the PMI, but the certification body that provides it is PMI. So the professional credentials is more targeted to specific skills and or technologies relevant to a particular interest of the person and also by the trajectory of the company and or the organization is trying to do. So there are more diversity, as I would say, for professional credentials because it is more industry specific, skill based specific, and so there's so many certifications depending on what field you are into. Business management is not as diverse with respect to sub-specialization because
Oh,
as again it's morely like in the on the academic side. So that's I think what I could share for the basic difference for these two.
that's really great, Arjo. I think so. That's a nice overview you have shared that the management degrees are more, more not kind of bigger subject where they are not specialized into one specific skills. But when they talk about, let's say, financial management, it's, there is a very big financial subject, but skill-based certification, you can have CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst, or certified investment management analyst. So there are micro credentials exist which people can also do. That's what you have said, kind of. And same thing even in the project management. There could be a management degree in project management, but PMI comes with 35 hours of PMP learning and then certification. People who cannot afford the full 2 year project management, master degree, they can go into the PMP and they can, based on PMI guideline, 35 hours of online learning, they can learn project management in 35 hours and then they can validate their understanding by getting PMP certification. So that's I think so great answer, and I hope that our audience will get benefited. But Ardo, let me take you to the second question
Yes.
now. My second question is there not one fit size all solution for these people, or do you think there is a specific solution for different people? How do you think this way, Arju?
Yeah, basically, no, absolutely. There's not one size fits all for this situation because every individual has their own trajectory of what they wanted to do for their personal and or professional career development. And that is focused
Okay.
on their goals, their current realities and or their situation, the professional stage where they are at. And of course, your prioritization for professional learning, preferences preferably. Do you wanted to really achieve to become master's student and at the same time go further for PhD and more lean towards on the academic side? Or do you wanted to venture more on other opportunities that would take your professional career into consulting, pragmatic, practical approach? So it all depends on what you wanted to do and the opportunities that are in your hand right now and or future opportunities that you wanted to venture out. It doesn't mean that because you are stuck to this domain that you are working in right now, it doesn't mean that you can change and venture out to do other skills. For
Or
example, if you are into military background and then you got out of the military, you wanted to venture into project and or program management. Maybe your military experience have done a lot, you're engaged with lots of projects and project and or programs. You wanted to maybe getting certified. So your best route maybe is not going to be university or college, but professional certification. So there's no one size fits all. It all depends on where you are at, what you wanted to do, and how you will use that knowledge that is in you to impact the organization that you're going to serve and or your community.
awesome, awesome. I know there's another great insight, Arjo. People should understand that it's not just a management degree into finance, or it's not just 2 year degree, 3 year degree, but what I have understood from you is there is solution for everybody. There is not one solution which needs to be adjusted or adapted by everybody. Rather, there are solution. What I have learned from you is there are different solutions. They are all over the world in terms of these management degrees, where people can choose maybe a remote learning. People can do a part-time management degree, full-time management degree. They can choose their subject, and the universities are now giving a diverse topic to pick up from the management degree. So solution for everybody. There is no just there's not just one specific solution that everybody needs to just have to accept. So that's another, I think, so it's a great insight, Arjo. Thank you for that. Let me move to my next question. Again, very specific question on the management degree. Okay. Now, I would like to hear from you, Arjo. Let's say if I want to do some management degree, or the audience wants to do some management degree, the question to you now is, what are the advantage of management degree which you'd like to share to this audience? Why should they go for any management degree? How should they the advantage, the management certification from, let's say, Harvard? I know you are Harvard Business School student, and you are doing excellent at Harvard. What are the advantage you see when you are at Harvard? You are a current alumni of Harvard. I just want to hear your practical experiences, and maybe from your past experiences as well. What are the advantage the people can look from the management degrees?
Yeah. Like, yeah, thank you, Mentor Kailash. We're for Harvard. My first interaction with the Harvard started in 2019. So I did completed the Harvard Kennedy School Public Leadership Credential Program. That is like an 11 month program with 6 courses and then a capstone. It is more on about public leadership, especially policy design, leadership, and all of those things. It's also integrated with management. And that gave me a pathway to the postgraduate program for Harvard Extension School that I'm currently taking now. It's Master of Liberal Arts in Government. There are some management component part of it, but not technically the business management part of work. So I am a postgraduate student now in Harvard Extension School. I also have a management master's degree, not necessarily in specific business, but I had master on environment and natural resource management from the University of the Philippines. See, these academic schools and universities, you have a comprehensive curriculum to complete the program. For my master's program right now, I have to complete it within 5 years. May 2029, I have to complete that. The Harvard Extension School gives the flexibility for working professionals because I'm doing a lot of courses online right now. But there's some point in that 5 years that I have to go in campus to study on campus for specific required program courses. So as part of the university, I have an access now that I am a postgraduate student. I have a full access to networking opportunities with other students of Harvard University, diverse professional groups that I even came to know through LinkedIn specifically, and or to our cohort and the programs that I am part of. There's a lot of potential with the career acceleration because Harvard is Harvard. The name of the university can also make an impact for your kind of trajectory. And different countries, different institutions have their own academic standing with respect to their specialization. So for corporate events, there are schools and global schools, known schools that are specifically business oriented. There are schools that are specifically for this kind of specialization. So there are so many benefits, and it depends on where you are at with how you wanted to develop your critical skills, your strategic planning skills, and in what university that you wanted to get it done and or the college or universities. Mostly for lots of my friends who are in the MBA program and those that I know in Harvard Business School, they usually occupy senior positions in large corporations, but also nonprofit organizations and or government. So management per se is a very, very broad domain. There's like, the business side, as you said, marketing side of it. There's a very broad domain. So whatever you intend to do in a particular university and or particular college and or campus, you know that you are bound to complete that particular degree within a specific period of time following the course of the program that you are part of. So there's so many advantages when you are part of an academe because at the end of your school year, of course, you got the name for the school. It is not maybe something that you could put as a certification right after your name compared to professional credentials like PMP. You can reuse this like after your name because it's a professional credentials. Some of this business management and other degrees, not necessarily all people are using the particular degree after their name for so many reasons. So there are crucial benefits depending on how you view it from what you need it from yourself and or your organization that you are part of.
Awesome. So, Arjo, when I am hearing you, one thing I want to further ask around the same topic, see, of course, you said a lot of advantage from once you get the management degree from reputed organization. There are advantages like you have, opportunity to get a job offer better than those people who have not done such a master degree, who have not further enhanced their educational initiative. They have after the basic bachelor degree they have just stopped there only. So I see that those are the advantage. But my further I want to ask on the related to the same question is, if let's say I am into an full-time one advantage also you said that there's a flexibility within 5 year. Now within 5 year you can complete your management degree, not like some time back it used to be very strict that you have to finish in 2 year, you have to finish in 3 year, or just like any bachelor degree at 12 plus 4 years of education where you have to finish in that 4 year term. But now these management degrees are giving you flexibility. But the other advantage is from, I want to ask that their way of delivery. How do you see, when I enroll for such course, when it's a long-term course, let's say I have to do so many different modules in, let's say 3 year to 5 year timeline, is there theoretical or practical balance also there, Arjo? Or what do you see that when you are in Harvard, are they only theoretical in their orientation, or there are practical approaches which people can slowly build? Because sometimes what I feel, sometimes when we deliver a lot of management courses, people say there are very less hands-on exercises because a short course is the investment is less, but where you making such heavy investment into the management courses and all, I want to hear that, what are the approach of delivery? What are the advantage from the delivery approach? What the professional can get? That's what is I would like to hear from you as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that in my context, because I did Harvard Extension School, I'm only taking one course at a time. So my maximum program is 5 years. If you are into a management specific degree, if you are into Harvard Business School, they also have their own program. They also have their own program length after you get admitted to the Harvard University. Of course, each course, number one, Mentor Kalas, I have to mention that the cost, there's of course huge financial cost. It is not cheap to go anywhere and in whatever university for the degree, especially if you are in the degree program. There's a specific tuition fee that you have to pay every semester that you are enrolled. depending on the length of that program. And if you're able to cope that and just comply the requirements of the university at the end of the year, then you'll be able to move forward from one stage to another. And this, if you are into the academe, there's a more substantial time commitment. Especially for my course right now, I'm on my geopolitics of technology. It is a very much practical approach. It's very much in relation to the realities of what we are facing right now with these global powers, USA, and its relations to other countries, how it's impacting businesses. So it's more on the policy and the strategic level, but you are given the world view of how you're able to leverage the knowledge that you have and understand governance systems, not only of the USA, but also governance systems and the geopolitics and the impact of it in other countries and how they stand, where they stand, how it's impacting economy, how it's impacting businesses, how it's impacting the academe and all of those research and stuff. Different domains have different focus. So if we are just talking about like really like a business management encompasses and touches a lot of sectors across the board. And the advances and the emerging technologies right now is highly impacting how businesses are being operated, especially with the automation, especially with all of these skills that the younger generation has to have in order to cope with the demands of the future. We are not just preparing right now. If you are in the academe right now and you are not transitioning into something modernized and or upgrade the curriculum that you create for the future generation, you are not setting your graduates for being competitive in the global market for labor force. If you are backward and you are not advancing yourself with respect to technology, you might offer courses that are not no longer relevant for the demand, for the current demand and the trend of where the global economy is going. Because with internet right now, everything is interconnected. That's why it's internet, the internet of things. We cannot just simply discount the impact of it. The power of AI that we are helping, like so many organizations has to transcend into that. With respect to business management, how are they integrating with all of this automation? How is this AI tools that are now emerging very, very industries are impacting not only businesses but also the security of the nation and or the country and the security of the company if you're part of the company. So these are practical skills really, and I would say that some of the academies right now are offering extension schools and some programs that are also leading towards skill based, and then that is also in addition to their full degree program. So if you can see, there's Harvard X that offers lots of courses. There's Coursera that offers lots of courses online in collaboration with so many universities around the world because they're more like skills based. It's
Absolutely.
different program from their academic program. It's different.
Absolutely. I think so. You really answered that very well, Arjo. Let's move forward to here. Though you have said, of course, there are a lot of advantage of the management degree, but they don't come without any drawback. Am I correct, Arjo? This management degree. Would you like to also
Yeah.
tell me or the audience what are the drawback the management degree have actually?
I think I would not maybe use the word robe. I think I would use reality. The reality
Okay.
is that management degree, as I said earlier, it's high financial cost.
Okay.
Depending on the college and or university that you are engaged with, you have to be realistic that you're gonna face the high financial cost, especially from an individual perspective. Me, I am paying my own Harvard Extension School. I am paying my Harvard Kennedy School. It takes a lot of financial investment, financial investment for that one. But what supports me is that I'm able to use my professional credentials that got me engaged into some projects, engage me into consulting, that my professional credentials help me to finance my Harvard degree education. But there is a financial cost and it's high. It is not cheap. So it depends on your, in your college and or university, but you have to be realistic to know that. You also have to be realistic to consider the substantial time commitment. So in my current courses right now that I'm taking, at least I need to devote 20 hours per week of study time. So I am doing some part-time work and I'm also a full-time mom and some other responsibilities. I'm engaged with so many different organizations. I have to commit really a substantial time to study, to cope with the research work, with the demand of the research work of the curriculum, because it is very, very rigorous. You have assignments that is due on your grades and how you pass this course is totally dependent on your progress based on your grade and complying all of that the course requirements that that is very, very rigorous and very strict. Maybe you can think that it might not always provide immediate and practical skills, but in the long term you will be able to put together all of this knowledge and take a look at it from a perspective on how it's going to impact the way you do things around you, personally, professionally, and also in your other engagement. So you have to be realistic that I'm learning geopolitics of technology right now. We're learning the future of warfare. Am I going to be engaged in something diplomatic level? I don't know, but because I'm willing to study and learn this specifically and how it's going to impact governance on international level, international relations scale, then I have the knowledge. I understand the concept, basic and maybe the detailed part of all of this, but no matter what, that knowledge stays in you, wherein you can leverage it and you can engage with other people, and somehow you're gonna be talking on the same level of kind of like language and understanding, and your perspective about things and the way they are is much even like broader. So there's the reality that yes, you are maybe learning some theoretical part. You might not be able to apply it now, but you will be able to apply it later. It's very, very different from a certification based skill, in which if you are part of an industry, they require you to have a certification for this and you master that particular skill. And some people are focused only on that particular skill. If
Awesome.
you are a
Awesome.
person that wanted to have a broad perspective, then you go for a more broader, diverse perspective. But as we talk about skill based, certification based, there's a reason why they ask you to be certified, especially like if you're a nurse or CNA for home healthcare workers. There are different levels. If you're a practical nurse, licensed nurse, you have to have those kind of credentials before they can even hire you because it is specific to that particular field and or industry. Will I be able to use my geopolitics of technology if I'm going to apply for that course? No. That's the
Oh,
big difference.
got it. Got it.
So,
Got it.
but there's I think that's why I said like maybe not drawback, but let's talk about the reality. There you have to consider the cost, the time that you're gonna devote, which one works better for you right now, and the trajectory. How long do you need to complete something in order to be able to achieve for this particular job? So there's time, and then the practical skills that you will be learning. You're going to learn it now and apply it now, or this is something that you learn and you can maybe apply it not within a specific constrained period of time, but in the long term. And how are you able to leverage your ability in working with other professionals? So just
Awesome.
being
Awesome.
realistic,
Absolutely.
not really a drawback.
I want to share my own experience, Arjo. I did my again, part-time some weekend management certification or management degree into systems, MBA in systems. And you rightly said sometime some topic which we may not directly you rightly gave example of some some warfare, maybe in some management courses where you rightly said it's not a drawback, but you have to learn the entire course and you don't know whether even when I did my MBA, there are a lot of things I learned in finance also. Though my topic were MBA in systems and kind of thing at the later stage. Of course, those learning has still helping me what I learned in my MBA, even related to finance. But I'm not a full time finance guy. I use it just maybe a percent, 1% of it. But I have to learn the entire course. I have to get certified. I felt that is as a a bit when I was doing my MBA, I really found that Uh, why I'm doing this subject, because I'm not going to use this. My focus was very clear that I want to do in systems. So from maybe if the day one, if they have
Yes.
focused around the system, but there were other financial or other management topic, including some part of human resource management, financial management, and some marketing. I still remember that on the first 1 or 2 semester are very generic for everybody. They are very, for everybody have to go through. And sometimes I felt that, it's not making sense to me. I was never able to focus on that. Of course, I learned it, and I now remember that they really helped me. But what I wanted, so you rightly said, is not, let's not call it a drawback, but sometimes, management degree, you a topic which you don't like, but you have to go through it because part of the overall structure of the, because they give you certified
Requirement.
you entire, business administrator, MBA, masters, or administration kind of things. So where they don't want you to, specific thing kind of thing. So I think that's really great line of thought you gave, that you
Yeah.
have to learn everything there.
It's
Okay.
yes. It's so different, Mentor Kailash, because you learn all those things, but you could not really package them. Okay, because I learned all of these things, now I have to impose it and apply it to this one. Because what you learn, ideally, what you learn is not even what is happening in the real life world. In the real
Yeah,
life
yeah,
world, you will be able to make use of some of these learnings and then put them together for that particular need in the reality. So let's talk about, that's why I said, like, let's just be part of it is just being realistic that this is like happening. I'm more on always like, as I told you, I'm like, I'm almost a person that is in every situation. I take a look at it, even for a problem. I take a look at it as an opportunity. So it's a hard choice, but if you really are an academic person and you wanted to do university degrees, it's fine because you wanted that for yourself. But as I said, the difference with the certification bodies, there's value on why there are professional certification bodies and why
yeah,
there are academics, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Because there's a different focus.
Absolutely. So, Arju, what is the trend I see in this today's world? When I see myself, I did some, 10 to 12 professional certification, whether it's from, I have 5 PMI certification, I have IIBA certification, I have Microsoft certification, I have some Scrum certification. So, I myself have done 10 professional certification. And the same way I see, when I see your profile, I see you also have done n number of certification, and we have some other in-house trainer, Arjo, that let's say Dr. Siram, and we have the other, they have done at least 20 to 30 certification. Now my question is very specific to you now. Do you see some trend is changing now? People are more leaning toward the certification rather than, because I've literally seen that people are less interested in the management courses, which are of course, we discuss advantage and disadvantage, but what I see a trend, that people are more focusing and more interested in the skill-based certification, whether it's a project management, risk management, change management, business analysis, or it could be any program and portfolio management. So there are specific skills you master, and I see people are, because as a training organization, add-on skills are every student who come to us, because we able to deliver value to him, they keep doing 3 to 4 certifications. So we have hundreds of people who have done 4 certification with us. When they are hunger for this certification and
Yeah.
mastering these skills, never stopping. That's, I really sometimes get amazed by these people. They keep wants to do, and one example is just in front of me. When Arjo yourself, I see that that hunger for the skill based, is continuously growing, and I see the trend is more focusing toward the skill-based certification rather than the management, the full-time or long-term. Do you also see this kind of trend, Arjo? Or do you see this will continue? Or where do you see the trend will go further?
Perfect. Perfect question, Mentor Mars. I can really talk about it because it's my personal experience. See, I told you, like, I'm originally from the Philippines. I have a background. My bachelor's was in Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, specializing in plant pathology, which is very scientific. So I deal with bacteria, I deal with viruses, I deal with fungi, research based. I'm mostly in the laboratory. But I went back to work in the province of government in Sarangani, Philippines. I work on a project specific for natural resource environmental project for the Indigenous Peoples Program. Then I became a program manager for the Indigenous Peoples Program, comprising 4 projects integrated into the focus of the new administration. While I was working full time, I also did my master's in environment and natural resource management. I was able to apply that particular skills and knowledge with my work at that particular time. When I came to the USA, I tried to apply for so many jobs, either environment, project manager, program manager. I did not get any calls at all for all of those certificates. So for all of those applications, you know why? Because these jobs that I have applied for requires PMP certification. I never knew about PMP and or PMI until I came to the USA. My husband told me, why not get PMP certification? So I don't know what is PMP. And then I researched PMI, PMP like back in 2015 when my kids, they're still like toddler. So that's where I started my curiosity. Now, PMI requires 35 contact hours. At that time, it was called Registered Education Provider. I did my 35 contact hours for REP requirement through the University of California in Irvine. It was online. 5 months training on project management that completes the 35 contact hours needed as required for the PMP exam. So I never knew about the value of professional certifications, but my husband opened up the eyes of my professional certification because he is into Cisco certifications, internet and all of those internet protocol rerouting framework. He's into that one. He's an IT guy. I never thought of the value. I am more of an academic kind of person, but I never thought of the value of the professional global credentials. But in 2018, it changed because today, as I should, today, December 8, 2024, is my 6th year since I passed the PMP exam. The PMP certification has transformed my career. Right after passing the PMP exam in December of 2018, less than a month after that, I got some job offers online and I became PMP trainer for some organizations that I have, NDA agreement with to have trainings for them, for their students and or mentees, mostly based here in Atlanta. That PMP certification was a determining factor for me to get back into my professional world in a limited capacity because I'm still a full-time mom. But I was able to engage professionally. I was able to engage and use my professional credentials to be able to also do nonprofit work. So because I wanted to learn in the context of the USA, because the USA companies and or organizations requires it. So it was driven. It's a market driven demand. In the Philippines, I never thought of a certification. If I could have known that before, I could have gotten that certification before coming to the USA. But I just learned it when I came here. So there's a quick and targeted learning when you are into, for example, the PMP exam. I took my mentoring to that through that I also found online. So there's a lower cost at the same time for these certifications compared to the degree program. And you have in your own power the leverage of time that you can devote to get to the point where you are exam ready. You should not be taking any of these professional exams if you are not PMP and or other professional credential exam ready. As you said, I have PMP. I also did the Agile Certified Practitioner, even if I am not into the IT field, but I was able to leverage my non-IT experience to use the mindset, the Agile mindset that is also advocated by the Agile Manifesto and all of these other principles for Agile frameworks and all of these other related. I did Scrum, professional Scrum Master. I did a program management professional and then also did portfolio management professional. And I also did SAFE. But these are driven mostly by companies and organizations that would need their labor force to get this kind and level of certification. But because it is aligned to the kind of work that they're expecting for the human resource to accomplish. So it is very specific. That's why it's very different. So it's lower cost and you can get it done within the time that you are able to really like complete the exam and pass it on first attempt, especially. So you are able to immediately apply the skills that you gained as you study for all of those principles. Again, depending on the organization, because there's this ideal nature of how we do projects, how we do program, how we do portfolio. But then again, in the real world, you will be faced with the reality of organizational structures, the reality of the hierarchy with respect to powers in whatever government and or non-profit and or for-profit sector you will be part of. There's the organizational culture of that as well. So many other realities that you will be faced, and how you can apply this principles that you gained, the knowledge that you gained, and how you can also, of course, in the long run, demonstrate continuous learning for yourself, and also hopefully help other people value continuous learning for themselves and or for their organizations. So I would say that even though right now I'm doing Harvard, I did Harvard Kennedy School Public Leadership Credential. I am doing master's program with Harvard University as a postgraduate student. But I would say what propelled me more to be engaged professionally is not because I am the University of the Philippines graduate, not because I did Harvard University, but because I have my professional credentials. It's
Absolutely, Arju.
because the demand of work was related more on the kind of work that these organizations ask you to engage.
Absolutely. And Arju, correct me if I'm wrong. I also see, the management, these skill-based certification or skill-based micro credential kind of things. Whether it's just a risk management, if you just say that, okay, you are a risk management certified from this institute, such as PMI or any other people, think that you can easily apply them, you can immediately apply them. Am I correct that, once you, let's say you have gone deep dive into some skill based certification, let's take an example of even, let's say you said Scrum, let's say you did Scrum, maybe PMI, ACP, or maybe other CSM or safe certification. So do you really think that after doing these skill based courses or certification courses, do you really think, are you immediately ready to apply that safe or apply the Scrum after doing some, let's say 14 hours? Because I remember that most of the institute, of course PMI ACP is 21 hour, now it changed to 28 hours of learning. But do you think that in 20, let's say take ACP today, somebody gets certified as PMI Agile certified practitioner, he have done some 28 hours of course, let's say from any institute, let's take from add-on skills, or maybe from any other institute. Do you think that um, people can, after going through this 28 hours of course or 14 16 hours of course, after they get certified, of course they will have to spend hours to study, get certified, apply, learning from these whatever duration of the courses. Do you think it can be easily applied into the corporate world once you get certified, whether it's a risk certification, whether it's a change management, whether it's a business analysis, or whether it's any agile certification? So what's your thought in that?
It depends on the background, Mentor Kailash, for the person. For me, as like I don't know what is agile. I am more into social services driven kind of program and or project management because I work in the government sector and or nonprofit. So the delivery of the services that we do is not kind of like more on the kind of like structured more on the IT. Coming from the perspective of the agile certifications, when I first got into it and even with Scrum, most of these are very much skewed towards the IT profession. But how I learned and how I applied the principles is because, as they said, even though the agile certification, especially this agile manifesto, they are born out of the Microsoft industry and Microsoft, all of this IT related businesses, but it can also be applied in other non-IT perspectives. So when I was learning these concepts, I did not learn it from the thinking of the perspective that I should be an IT person. I learned the concepts and how those concepts are actually aligned and used in our daily interactions and on the projects that I have done, even in the non-IT sector, in the government, in the nonprofit. Like I was able to use Scrum when I was doing a campaign. I serve as a campaign director for a school foundation for my kids during the pandemic time. So I used my agile knowledge and stuff, applied it to the current situation with so many vulnerabilities, so many risks at hand, given the pandemic. And then we have to have this campaign that has to happen in 3 weeks and raise X amount of money to be able to use it and fund STEM-related projects for the school. So it depends on from what perspective you are using. And I hope that people would not be only thinking that these are the skills because you need it to apply to the corporate world. How are these skills even used in your community world, in your
Absolutely.
organization? Are you learning the skills really because you wanted to serve corporate industries? Me, I'm not. If I will be able to serve corporate, good. But if my happiness is if I'm able to impact more the community because there's a big gap and divide of all of this knowledge and learning between the corporate and or the community, I would rather say I would focus more on the community because lifting up the community would lift up everyone. It's not that I am against the corporation, but I am more like a person that is very pragmatic of where my bias is because I am seeing while so many corporate and industries are way up there, but then where is the communities? Where are the people in the communities at? And always in government and stuff, the people that are left behind are the ones in the community. How are their skills based? So it's different on how you frame why you are trying to get these certifications. Are you trying to get these certifications only for personal because you just wanted to have a promotion for your job? Or you're also trying to get this certification because you think that you can impact your corporate world at the same time your community, the things that you do around that also gives back to the humanity. So it all depends on your kind of perspective. I have gained micro credentials and also the digital badges, and I value them. I even posted in LinkedIn today some of those pins that I got from PMI. The first pin that I got, the other pins that I got because I was being there at the Global Summit for the past 2 years, and about certification. So my Harvard University education postgraduate right now, I have an opportunity to do international relations as a technical certificate. So while I am pursuing my master's in government, I am also getting a micro credential on international relations. So I have to choose courses that satisfies both the government program and the international relations micro credential. So like as you said earlier, SAFE, I've done SAFE, SAFE 5, SAFE 6, but SAFE 5, SAFE 6, they're very much industry level specific. Will I be able to use it if I'm going to be at the nonprofit? Maybe some of the concepts that they use, but to be able to use like SAFE, that means your organization is really doing an enterprise level and implementing SAFE framework. Because if that organization is not doing the SAFE framework per se, and it is not required by the company to use it, then you don't really think that you really need it. I was interested with SAFE because I wanted to see if I can learn it and if I can also try to use some of the concepts in the other things that I do, even if it is not required. Some companies and organizations, they require a specific framework. So you have to align yourself to learn that specific framework in order for you to be effective with what you do, because the language that you have to learn with your teammates is based on that kind of framework. So you don't have a choice. You either learn that skill or you move on to other skills that does not really require that specific course. So because of this increased integration right now of online and also in-person learning, it gives a lot of opportunities for people from across the world to get professional certification that they can use personally and they can also use professionally. And I think it has to cut across for what industry that you might be in, because some industries, they are really specific for a particular skill. Then you have to get certified for that particular skill. So again, it's the difference on the value. I value my professional credentials that I have gained so far. I plan
Absolutely.
to do all of the rest of the PMO credentials as well because I've seen the value, the direct impact for it is that I'm able to use the skill. I learn the value of it. I'm able to use it in a very practical way. So I see the impact of it in a very practical way. So that's how the certifications is really like the emerging trends of this professional educations and training is beyond the certification. But see, we need to maintain our certifications, right? We need to maintain our credentials to be active. So I plan to maintain my credentials to be active because I'm able to leverage the knowledge that I gain from there in different kind of settings that I am engaged with. either small project, medium project, large project. Either you do it just as one person leading the whole team across the world, and or you are part of a bigger perspective of a team doing for something. So it depends on how you value it. But to me, I'm just so happy that my husband introduced me to the world of professional certifications and the value of it, and I have benefited personally and professionally.
Arjo,
So that's
can
my kind of
can you can you ask your husband to be my next guest? I would definitely like to talk to him about Cisco certification. I really see. Thank you for
yes.
endorsing your husband. Okay, so we'll talk about that separately. But Arjun, my last question for the day. I know it's very late in Eastern time zone, and you may have a working day tomorrow. My last question, which is actually I got an email from LinkedIn, and LinkedIn had asked me to share my thoughts, my experiences. What could be the big ideas for 2025? What could be trending in 2025 in education and in learning and development portfolios? Definitely I will share my views on LinkedIn because I have been asked by LinkedIn to share that thought. But here I would like to just want to validate what I'm going to talk about, because you are a good knowledgeable person among us, and you have so much of educational degree, whether from agricultural, whether it's the different certification in Harvard, Kennedy, and the master's degree. So many things you are doing. See, what is the trend, as LinkedIn have asked me, and I was thinking that what will change in learning and development portfolio in 2025, or beyond this, because we see already so much of influence from the machine learning, the artificial intelligence. But one thing which comes to my mind, which at add-on skills we were discussing at a strategic level in our last strategic meeting, also there was a discussion we were focusing around is immersive learning. Immersive learning is one thing I personally felt, and we had lot of discussion in our management in our strategic meeting, saying that how can we use the the lot of these kind of immersive learning, mean this virtual reality kind of thing, where we not just talk about theoretical aspect but engage people through some virtual reality, through some can when we teaching them some skills, we teach them skills from some kind of practical projects where they can wear some kind of gadgets and use the virtual reality, put into in terms of lesser risk manager on a project. Somebody have to play a role of a risk manager, and he will actually see a risk, a trigger of a risk and some probability of a risk, and the risk manager immediately will get notified, and then how he collaborate with the stakeholder to analyze the risk, develop the risk planning, and then proactively implementing the risk response planning. So what I see, what things going to change in the future, which I definitely see already started happening. I have been part of lot of seminars and workshops which I attend. I saw this immersive learning has become very, very common factor in most of the learning institute, even in, I don't know about the management, because my last management degree was way back in 2007 or 2006 when I attended my master's degree. And after that, I have not been into any university kind of thing. But do you also see, Arjo, that this immersive learning, this virtual reality, these things going to also be adopted very much by the management institute or by even the training institute, or some consulting institute, where people give practical experience through this immersive learning experience? What is your thought in that? Because this is what I feel and I want to share, but I really
Yeah,
want to take your opinion as well. Yeah.
Mentor Kailash, that is very much in line. As I said, we cannot get away, just like we cannot get away with internet right now as being part of our life. We cannot get away with the impact of AI. The impact of AI cuts across different industries, different sectors. The countries who are harnessing and integrating the power of AI down to their governance, policies, and in educational system is really going to prepare the next generations. There are so many things right now that so many maybe are doing it in an obsolete way, but because of this integration, the integration of these so many tools and the integration of these learning systems, you have to have them in place if you wanted to really to prepare a better future. If I am a politician right now of any country, I would invest in technology. I would invest in virtual reality. I would invest in AI. I would invest in supporting the integration of automation in some of these parts. Although it is not, there are pros and cons because there will be definitely some skills that will be somehow displaced in a way because of the transitioning. But that's an opportunity to hop on and learn this new skill with this kind of demand.
Got it.
There are some skills that engages the human intervention, the human loop around it. You cannot take away. But there's so many right now that are using virtual reality, AR, all of this AI companion things as part of their strategic advantage. So again, let's just be realistic towards it. And for so many schools, they are integrating that part. Part of what I'm learning now, Mentor Kailash, is quantum computing. The
Oh,
strategies, the realities, the risks of quantum computing. I was like, I never heard about quantum computing that is way beyond the superpower of computers, but it's going to be part of the discussions going to be later on, just like the hype of AI and everything. I'm going to have a certification that is related to AI in project management. Shout out to my other mentor, to Dr. Ricardo Vargas and Mr. Antonio Nieto. I've enrolled for their masterclass, and I'm pretty much sure you are aware of their masterclass because I wanted to, again, I'm not an IT person, but I'm not trying to learn because I don't have an IT background. I wanted to learn because this is the thing right now that is cutting across the world. Either will you work in government, either you work in the nonprofit sector, you work in the private sector, you cannot get away with facing the reality that AI is impacting your work, good or bad. But how you're able to manage and become responsible and ethical, because there are some concerns in this area specifically, especially for people that are in the knowledge type of work, that's going to be impacted by. So I am not stopping my certification, just taking them one step at a time because, as I said, my course right now on geopolitics of technology is really a lot. It cuts across climate change, biotechnology, and all of these things. But it's a good thing to learn. And it's the first time that Harvard University opens this course. And I'm happy to be part of the first cohort of students across the globe. So now I have a better appreciation of why PMI is trying to also get into the AI, get focus more on the integration of AI. And I've asked these questions before. How is the PMP exam going to be impacted by AI? Just the curiosity of curious. The thing for me is that if I am curious, I am not afraid to learn. At least I have satisfied myself that I learned something. And if I fail, at least I tried. And at least I'll have the opportunity to do it right if I need to learn it more. So far, I have not failed the test. I have not failed an exam. So I hope to pass this AI in project management exam on first attempt after my fall course with Harvard Extension School. It's really going to be exciting one for everyone listening to your podcast and or listening to us right now. We should not be afraid with learning. Wish I could have the IT experience or background. At least that's, I think, to me, the skill that I could have had, but I did not have it. I was more into research, policy design, management, strategic level. But I think anyone that is into this kind of field right now, and if you are still a student, there's no harm being immersed yourself in the Internet of Things. My son, my daughter, they are so much techie savvy than I am. I hope I was exposed to those kinds of technologies. But where my background is, I did not have the luxury to access these kinds of technologies. So for universities, for colleges, for countries that are able to support their educational system in technology and supporting STEM projects, kudos to them because they're setting up the future generation to really being more adaptive to the kind of technologies that's impacting their world, their own community, but also in a global perspective. You can work in India right now and be part of a project team that is based in the USA. You can be in the Philippines right now and work for a government company, private company in UK. How is that made possible? Technology. And how are these technologies being driven? So many
absolutely.
factors. not only one. Yeah.
So great, Arjo. I think so. Nice perspective, and rightly said. Of course, technology going to be adding lot of value to all of us. Of course, there are some negative side of technology, which maybe if people are not adopting it, then they may be facing the. And you rightly said, in spite of not being a hardcore technology background, you always have that courage to learn, courage to that your
Mhm.
enthusiasm toward learning new thing and not afraid of failing, rather than looking into a perspective of that you will learn at the end of it, is awesome. And so I think so that's the all thing I want to talk in this podcast. And I think so really great discussion which I had with you, so much of personal insight which I have got from your experiences. And just to summarize this podcast for our audience, Arjo, what I have had my own experience, and after having this last 1 hour of session with you, I have really learned that both management degree as well as certification courses both have their place in everybody's personal and professional life. We cannot say that
Yeah.
so of course one may get more benefit from a management degree, another may get more benefit from these short skill based certification. So there are advantage and the pros and cons of both management degrees and the skill based certification. But it all depends on individual, whether if he can spend more time. And it's always, I always feel that even project management, sometime when we do training of 35 hours, yeah, I always feel that wish I could have had 350 hours, wish I could have 3 year to talk about project management, because there's so much I can share, there's so much I can give it to the community. So there's always a drawback of course there is, people learn quickly, but then the problem is the individual. You rightly said, the way you have taken your learning is not just from when you learned whether safe, whether you learned any other certification, you always thought of applying it, the mindset of how can you use it in your personal and professional world. Wish everybody will have that mindset where they will take, and is as you rightly said, there is no one fit size approach for everybody. People, management degree has you rightly said lot of value when you say that you have some management certification from MIT, Cambridge, from Oxford, or from IIMs, or ISBs, and so many other global reputed organizations. Definitely it gives you lot of maybe campus recruitment, they gives you lot of immediate value. And because at the senior level, I still believe that people will really want who have invested lot in their management, not just a certification. So people, of course, in a short term, certification will add lot of value for immediate gain. But when from a long term perspective, I think so both of these things needs to be balanced. There have to be detailed learning, which will definitely have. As I said, when I did my master degree, though my interest was not into marketing or HR or finance, my interest was more on technology, because I was a hardcore technology guy. I was doing a lot of development kind of things and all, but I still have to learn finance. And trust me, Arjo, today when I'm delivering a lot of courses, those fundamentals from there which I learned now has really helping me share my because
Yes.
this small financial management is still a topic in your program management portfolio. So there always management master degree will have lot of advantage from a long term perspective. But when I see certification, then certification will give you short term advantage, which you can quickly apply, which you can quickly get into some kind of increment, some kind of positioning yourself above the rest. Where let's say the other person is not a PMP certified, not a PGMP certified, or not a PFMP certified. When you hold that credential, you will definitely get the edge over the other people. But in a long term, the management, the master degree courses will give you as I said, even when I learned a lot of financial thing in 2006, but I learned it right way, the right manner, and today I am able to use it, so much into my everyday life. So that's what I want to, conclude
Yes.
this session, Arjo, with. And once again, I want to say thank you for being my guest. It's really, really awesome to talk to you and hear you. And you are definitely an influencer for me. You have influenced already so many people around you. You are doing a lot of community work. You are doing a lot of social work, and something what I personally want to tell you, Arjo. I think so. Your influence is your influence is much bigger than what you actually know. You have influenced so many people who you may not know that, and that's what I want to tell people, that, keep inspiring the community, not just for, personal, gain or personal thing, but it's always we have, social responsibility, as in not just corporate social responsibility, but individual social responsibility. Why should we always think that corporate will have social responsibility, only they will contribute to the community welfare? Why not we individual can have a social response? And you are the perfect example, Arjo. So thank you. And if you want to just say the final words to our audience, it will be
Yes.
so great of you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mentor Kailash. You really have said it very plainly. So there is no competition between the masters in an academic setting and or university system and these professional certifications. If you can have them both together at the same time, well done. You are Superman, you are Superwoman. Because it would really need some time and focus and energy, especially. But if you're able to plan them together, they complement. As you said rightly, what you learn from this one, you're able to complement into the other one. Some of the organizations that have got me, they got me as trainer for organizational development. They got me as trainer for conflict management. They got me as trainer for PM agile in a practical world. And Mentor Kailas, as you said earlier, yes, I am not only learning skills, but I am imparting it to my mentees. I have over 500 mentees, mostly based in the Philippines. They are community based and they are applying the project management concept within their context and they are impacting their community. It is not like they don't spend huge money like the corporates are, but the impact that they do can outdo what some other corporates are even doing. So that is my happiness that I'm able to share my knowledge in a very practical approach because these mentees that I've even mentoring are not even college graduates. They don't have the kind of education that other kids have invited, but they got the passion. They got it done. They just need a little bit of help for structure, for strategy, and for planning on how to get it done. That's where I'm able to use my gained knowledge. I have my practical life experience in managing projects, managing programs, mostly government and nonprofit setting. But the principles are the same. How you apply them matters. You can work in the government, but the system of the government can be very hard for you to accomplish what you need to do because the structure is very different. The structure is very much like command and control. How can you exercise agile project management principles in a very highly controlled environment? You cannot maybe apply all of that, but you can apply some of continuous learning, continuous feedback, the concept of continuous feedback, the concept of stakeholder engagement over stakeholder management. You can influence in some areas where you can make an edge, even if you cannot implement the whole Scrum framework. Because not everybody in that organization talks the same
Yeah.
language as you do in a Scrum framework world. If you are in a project that really implements a Scrum framework, well done. Everybody knows your role as a Scrum Master, your role as a product owner. But if you are working in a setting, organizational setting, where they do the projects the way they've been always wanting to do, and that is their culture, it's hard. But you can make and leverage your knowledge in some areas where you can make an edge and make a better impact in that particular area and then move on into the other areas. Still, you are using your knowledge. There's no fear, and you bet it's you are much better off having credentials and or master's degree than not having both at all. If you can have them both, well and good. But yes, so that's the concept. But don't just don't just take courses because just for the sake of taking it. Take it because you wanted it for yourself first. You have to why. You have to really understand why you wanted it for yourself. Me, my wife for Harvard University is simple. It's my dream university. I said, if I'm studying at the USA, I'm going to study at Harvard. And I got it. I got it done. And I am in my trajectory right now. So it depends on your passion and how you use that passion to improve for yourself, impact the world around you, and also give back to a greater like community. I impact community. I also impact companies. I also impact government. So, and that at the end of the day, I'm happy. So that my measurement of success is how happy am I when things are getting done, even if there are problems along the way, because you have to value more those problems that you got along the way, and you learn them along the way. I became a much better project manager because of the professional credentials that I have taken, and I value the code of ethics so much that now I can say no if it's so hard to say no. But I learned the value of saying no. I learned the value of saying no when things are not ethical, and learned to speak up and have the courage to really say what I wanted to say, because when it is not in accordance to the values of what I adhere, and so I don't have any conflict. So it's hard sometimes to just say this once, but when you apply it in the real life world and when you get to used to it, then people will know where you stand for particular issues. And where you stand for particular issues matters a lot for you. Either you use it personally and or professionally. But at the end of the day, all I can say, be happy with your choice. Don't let anyone tell you that you cannot do anything.
Absolutely, Arjo. I think so. Well said. And when this is a really nice conclusion. What I hope that this audience which we have will take a lot of takeaway for them, and at least not just from a management or certification courses, but from the applying, how they can apply it, how they can be improve and continuous learning. I think so this is the definitely a key takeaway for myself personally. I have always been practicing that, but it's kind of you have reiterated that and gave me that confidence that we are on the same page. We have the same kind of sometimes when people are, you found similar like-minded people, the vision which you which the vision which you are chasing, it gives you a lot of energies. I want to tell you, Arjo, thank you for giving me that energy. Thank you for saying all of these things from your heart, from your experiences. And this P3M with Kailash Upadhyay is all about not being any scripted podcast. It's just about talking your own heart, talking your own experiences, and being the real you. We are not just a manipulated professional who comes with some ready script and who say, just for. I have always been in my podcast have want to add value to the P3M community with different topics, and this today's topic is one such great topics. And finally, thank you, Arjo. Is I have to say bye to the audience now. Thank you once again, and hope to talk seeing you soon again in my another podcast on with some different topic. And that's all. Thank you. Please take care. Thank you,
Thank you
Arjo.
so much. Thank you so much, Mentor Ganesh. Thank you for everyone.